Now on CoastTV News.
Reassessment rundown. Lawmakers weigh in on transparency and communication in the second special committee hearing. Pot potential. Maryland is looking for locations for the first ever state-run cannabis incubator, plus applications are due soon. And an ICE deal in the spotlight. Wicomico County leaders could sign an agreement by the end of the week, but the controversy continues.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Our top story tonight, the second property reassessment hearing took place today at Legislative Hall. It brought in Kent County and Sussex County leaders to explain their processes. Kent County was the first of Delaware's 3 counties to complete the reassessment. They said communication and transparency were key. Sussex County officials said they turned to Kent County for guidance when it was their turn. Both counties say they reached out to Newcastle County but received little response. Lawmakers praising Kent for leading the way and Sussex for learning from them.
I really feel like Kent and Sussex County, I could say they went out of their way, but actually they were just doing their job and protecting their constituents, where I didn't feel like that in the first committee hearing we had last week.
And so the next hearing is scheduled for 2 weeks from now on October 21st, but officials say that date is subject to change because of a pending lawsuit regarding legislation passed in August. New tonight, Delaware State Police say a Selbyville man is facing several felony drug charges after a police chase. Troopers say 27-year-old Jaquan Johnson took off during a traffic stop in Selbyville last week. The chase ended in Frankfort after police say Johnson crashed into another car and ran off. DSP tells us officers used a taser to arrest him. Investigators also say Johnson tossed a potato chip bag during the chase. Inside the potato chip bag, they found cocaine, crack, and Xanax. He's being held at SCI on a more than $127,000 bond. We'll move to weather now. Here's a live look outside into Lewis, and our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams is about to join us with a check on our forecast. Paul, you said you see some rain coming in this week. Tell us what that's going to be like.
Well, it looks like we're going to be talking about the kind of precipitation that can slow some things down for you real quick. Overall, our tunnel and razor camera, we're at 70 degrees right now. Dew point's at 66. The winds have now calmed down, but we have increasing cloud cover. We're setting the stage for possible showers. Now, those showers are going to kick in throughout the early morning hours after we get past midnight. That's how it's going to kick in. Small craft advisory is in effect for the coast force along Sussex County. We're bracing for about 25-mile-per-hour winds. And we have high pressure that's in control of our weather for right now, but it's waning in its influence. And if I widen this a little bit more, you'll see a trough ahead of that is beginning to create an opportunity for precipitation that's just beginning to cross over into the Delmarva Peninsula. I'm not expecting severe storms for Wednesday, but I am expecting all-day rain. So it's going to be an extended, miserable feel in the air, so to speak. Here's the rest of our expectation for the night. We're going to see, particularly by 3 o'clock, the rain will begin to kick in for us at 3 o'clock in the morning, continuing throughout the rest of the morning time, making for a very slushy and messy kind of a commute for the morning time. But how long will this rain stick around? That I will tell you during your full forecast. Till then, back to you, Christina.
All right. Never like to hear you say the word miserable, but thank you, Paul. Well, tonight, the Frankfort Town Council discussed a DelDOT proposal to add lighting and crossover modifications along Route 113. Town officials say they think the changes will improve traffic and safety.
Council wanted to make sure that we're not pushing too much traffic in one direction and actually causing more of a problem. It's great to be mindful of safety, but you also want to make sure you have good traffic flow.
And some of the lighting improvements have already been installed. You can see some there on your screen, but there's currently no timeline for those crossover modifications. Commercial development is officially coming to Lewis. In a 3-2 vote, the Sussex County Council has given North Star Property LLC the green light to build commercially on 13 acres of land near Route 9 and Beaver Dam Road. North Star had already been given approval to build more than 700 homes there, also 94 apartments. Community members we spoke with were divided on the decision.
Absolutely. I think mixed use developments are the way to go.
There's no way that, what you're just talking about, some more of it being built, but there's no way that they're going to be able to keep up. It's just overwhelmed.
And the entire North Star project covers 433 acres there in Lewis. The commercial aspect would be on 13 acres, but at this time it's not exactly clear what businesses could be built there. Sources tell CoastTV former Lewis Fire Chief Bill Buckaloo has been reinstated into the fire department, even though top department officials called for Buckaloo's resignation last month. Multiple sources telling CoastTV News Fire President Wally Evans announced that Buckaloo was back last night. But just last month, on September 10th, a board member sent this email to the department saying the board voted to remove Buckaloo from the roles of the fire department for 2 years. We spoke with Wally Evans on the phone today. He now calls that email you just saw unauthorized and, quote, fake news. Sources say now Buckaloo has gotten his keys to the fire department back and can answer fire calls, even though on September 5th, officials called for Buckaloo to resign.
Should Bill Buckaloo resign?
Should Mr. Buckaloo resign? In my opinion, for the best interest of the Lewis Fire Department, it would be good for Mr. Buckaloo to resign.
And we did reach out to Bill Buckaloo today to try and speak with him about this situation, but we did not hear back. And all of this comes after Buckaloo faced multiple controversies during his time at the department. Bill Buckaloo was serving his 5th term as fire chief at the time of his suspension, but back in 2018, Buckaloo was arrested by Lewis police for disorderly conduct. And in 2020, while serving as assistant chief, Buckaloo was suspended for a Facebook post that included a slur aimed at a drag performer following a show in Rehoboth Beach. That post was later deleted, and Buckaloo did issue a public apology. Now, following Buckaloo's suspension in July, the Lewis Fire Department held an election to pick a new fire chief. Robert Stevens now currently serving that role as fire chief. Full disclosure here, the current fire chief, Robert Stevens, is the husband of CoastTV's assistant news director and anchor, Madeline Overturf. We'll go now to our CoastTV poll. We want to know, what is your trust level in the Lewis Fire Department handling internal affairs? Let's take a look at the results here. 69% say they have no trust. 3% say little trust. 16% say have some trust. 12% say they have very high trust. You can let us know what you think. What is your trust level? Head to coasttv.com, use our mobile app, and you can vote. Maryland opening the nation's first ever state-run cannabis incubator for small and social equity businesses. The Maryland Cannabis Administration and Maryland Economic Development Corporation say they're looking for underused commercial spaces like warehouses or empty malls under 30,000 square feet to house that incubator. The facility, they say, will help microprocessors make products like edibles and vapes and give micro dispensaries secure storage. But there will be no retail sales happening there. Communities and property owners have until November 6th to apply. In Worcester County, downtown Snow Hill is courting new shops to fill empty spaces. The Main Street organization is offering up 2 months free of rent, built to suit spaces between 800 and 1,400 square feet and help with buying equipment. The push comes with a tight clock to get doors open and lights on.
Obviously, we'd like to fill up all of them, but we have special grant funding that needs to be used by the end of the year or early next year to take a vacant space and get a business up and operating in that space.
Applications run through Maryland Coast Economic Development with first-year rents typically in the $500 to $1,200 range. Applications are due on November 1st with an eye toward opening by the end of the year. An agreement between Wicomico County and Immigration and Customs Enforcement could be just days away from final approval. The Wicomico County Council has a big decision to make about whether to hold a formal vote on the deal or to let it move forward without their input. County Executive Julie Giordano says she is still in support of the plan and that the deal could be signed by the end of the week, but not everyone's on board. Critics continue to speak out.
Well, to me, it's a prime example of how the citizens are not being listened to.
From what I have seen, and I have talked to the sheriff about this as well, we have gotten more of a positive outreach to us, more so than a negative.
Now, if the council puts this to a vote, a decision would not happen until their next meeting. That's on October 21st in Wicomico County. Well, amid the government shutdown, President Trump suggested that some federal workers don't deserve back pay. And as Sherelle Hubbard reports, the president also said he will soon announce which government programs he intends to permanently eliminate.
A stalemate in Congress continues as lawmakers still haven't reached a funding deal, and the federal government remains shut down after nearly a week. Now, President Donald Trump signaling that some furloughed federal workers' back pay may be in jeopardy.
I would say it depends on who we're talking about. I can tell you this, the Democrats have put a lot of people in great risk and jeopardy, but it really depends on who you're talking about. But for the most part, we're going to take care of our people. There are some people that really don't deserve to be taken care of, and we'll take care of them in a different way.
He did not elaborate on who would or would not receive payment. Trump also said he'd announce a list of government programs he intends to permanently eliminate amid the shutdown. The Trump administration has made it clear that they see a shutdown as an opportunity to shrink the size of the federal government.
I can tell you people in New Jersey, but around this country, are just sick and tired of these mob boss tactics.
Democratic lawmaker Andy Kim called out the administration for such tactics. But Democrats and Republicans agree that workers should be paid for the work they do.
And the law is clear. Every single furloughed federal employee is entitled to back pay. Period. Full stop.
My assumption is that furloughed workers will get back pay. But that being said, this is very simple. Open up the government. And this is a non-issue. We don't have to have this conversation. Everybody gets paid when the government is open.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
We still have more news to get into this evening. Coming up ahead, more on the government shutdown and how it's impacting air travel. But first, island protection, how these barriers in the Rehoboth Bay slow waves and protect a sacred shoreline.
Your Bay forecast, watching out for wet weather on Wednesday in Cambridge, Trisfield, in fact, the entire Delmarva Peninsula. I'll talk more about this in just 60 seconds. All right, so Mother Nature is setting the stage. Just prepare yourself mentally, physically, hydrologically, I guess we'll be the other way, for the rain. The rain is going to arrive. It's going to be a one-trick pony, one day, but it's going to be all day, well, all morning and afternoon long, as I say that. In Rehoboth, we're at 72 degrees. We see that haziness you see right there. That's part of the moisture content going up. There's a bit of dew on a lot of cars and the grass right now as we speak, as we prepare for that rain to arrive. 70 degrees by 3 o'clock, and everybody should have their share or cut of the rain pie by then. 69 right now in Millsboro, Georgetown, Gumboro, and Delmar. We're holding at 70 degrees steady in Milford, Harrington, Bridgeville, Seaford, and Laurel. So the rain is knocking on the door. It's just crossing the Chesapeake Bay, so it's still pushing across. Now, it's in the form of just light, playful showers right now. Nothing that we need to really panic about so much, but just light, playful showers is what I would call those. Now, we're going to see some embedded thunderstorms try to slide through. I mean, by 12:30, we could see some heavy showers hit Seaford briefly, and then it's in the morning time as the sun is coming up that we'll see those yellows and reds dance across the screen. But the rain is going to move kind of quickly, so the amount of rain we're going to receive has been lessened because of the timing of the storm pushing through. Showers for tonight as we drop down to 50. And along the coast, temperatures will be in the mid to lower 70s. Generally speaking, a touch of sunshine here and there, particularly by afternoon, going into the late afternoon, early evening hours. So here's a look at what we're expecting. Georgetown, we're looking for, let's say, by 8 o'clock in the morning. We're looking for widespread rain everywhere along Highway 13. Georgetown will have an isolated pocket of thunderstorm that's just going to pop right there around 8 o'clock in the morning. Then it moves out of the way, and then we have another pop between Ellendale and Georgetown, but widespread rain everywhere else. And then it begins to clear out of the way, although it'll be cloudy still at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's for the central part of the county. Then as we take a look at what we're expecting for the rest of us, we're looking for the amount of rain to stay between, let's say, a quarter of an inch to 3/4 of an inch. We're not even looking for a full inch. Initially, we're looking for 1.25 inches or 1.25. That's not looking too favorable. But the winds, that has stayed consistent with all the models. Out of the southwest by mid-morning, but then in the evening time, it shifts directions out of the northwest as the front pushes through and cools things off quickly. And then we're looking way down the road next Sunday. The back end of a low pressure system is going to be rotating around us off the water, and it could pose us some complications with heavy showers. By the way, Tropical Storm Jerry is rolling around out here, and still a tropical storm expected to graduate to a Category 1, then eventually a Category 2 by Saturday. And that's part of the outer rings that could possibly give us a little problem over the weekend, but that's still far off, and it is far away. Tonight, 68 degrees. Tomorrow, isolated heavy showers early. Then on Thursday, clearer and cooler. Finally, here's a look at your 7-day forecast.
Alrighty, thank you, Paul. Well, construction is happening off of Thompson Island in the Rehoboth Bay. DENREC and the Delaware Center for the Inland Bays are installing 400 devices to help fight erosion. CoastTV reporter Brandon Ferguson shows us from the water how these devices are working and what's next for the project.
Taking the boat out to Thompson Island to see this work up close. DENREC and the Delaware Center for Inland Bays teaming up to install 400 attenuation devices to protect the coast of this island. Doug Janik is the project's designer and says Mother Nature isn't pushing these things anywhere.
There's absolutely no storm event that's going to move these. If this one happened, and it's in this bay, you can't get enough energy. So these are going to be here for generations.
The attenuation device itself slows down the waves and creates calm waters closer to land. Jim Talbot is the executive vice president of Gillespie Precast, who makes the concrete barriers, and they are big and they are heavy, weighing in at 2,600 pounds each.
The wave attenuation devices were reinforced with a fiber mesh. Polypropylene fiber. That's what's inside of it to give it strength. It's mixed into the concrete, so it's all the way through from one side to the other.
The island is a restricted area and is a nature preserve because of the ties that go back thousands of years to the Nanticoke Indian tribe. Bob Collins with the Delaware Center for Inland Bays says this makes the work unique.
Thompson Island is a very important cultural asset for the state of Delaware.
With the first phase of this project wrapping up, there's expected to be 4 total phases completed around Thompson Island. And the first phase was the only one that was funded at $1 million. And roughly the second phase is expected to be at that $1 million mark as well. On the Rehoboth Bay, Brandon Ferguson, CoastTV News.
Coming up next, cheaper Teslas, the electric car giant rolling out more affordable options. We have the reason behind that move when we're back.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Well, it looks like Tesla is rolling out cheaper versions of its most popular models. On Tuesday, the company unveiled the Model 3 Standard and the Model Y Standard. Both will be cheaper than the premium versions of the vehicles. Tesla announced it is reducing costs because the government is eliminating a $7,500 tax credit for consumers buying electric vehicles. The new Model 3 Standard will cost about $38,000. That'll be available in December or January. The Model Y Standard will cost about $41,000. That'll be available either next month or in December. The ongoing government shutdown is beginning to directly impact air travel. A dozen Federal Aviation Administration facilities across the U.S. saw staffing shortages last night as air traffic controllers call out sick. Ivan Rodriguez reports on the travel turbulence and how the Department of Transportation is responding.
The government shutdown is not just a Washington problem. It's now landing at airports across the country. The Department of Transportation says more than 13,000 air traffic controllers are expected to continue working through the government shutdown, but without pay. Some are starting to not show up. With the government shutdown sliding into its 7th day, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says air traffic controllers are wondering if there's an end in sight.
They're thinking about, am I going to get a paycheck?
Controllers are considered essential workers, so they must work during the shutdown, but are not being paid.
We want to make sure we have air travel safe and controllers focused, not on their mortgages, not on the next paycheck, not on food on the table, but actually on making sure you and your family are safe.
12 FAA facilities saw staffing shortages Monday night. The control towers in Burbank, Phoenix, and Denver had so-called staffing triggers reported in the public FAA operations plan. Other facilities that handle air traffic around airports in Newark, New Jersey, Jacksonville, Florida, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and Indianapolis also were short-staffed, which in some cases caused hours-long delays.
If we have additional sick calls, we will reduce the flow consistent with a rate that's safe for the American people.
Former air traffic controller Harvey Skolnick says anytime a facility isn't staffed properly, it has a ripple effect.
It has an effect on breaks. It has an effect on controllers getting time off. It has an effect on training. And the job is tough enough as it is. And when you have to work 6 days a week, and now you're not getting paid on time, so everything has a cumulative effect on the FAA.
The FAA is expecting short staffing at some facilities across the country, according to its operations plan. Chicago's O'Hare International Airport Air Traffic Control Tower will be short-staffed until midnight. As for Hollywood Burbank Airport, the towers are not expected to shut down again, but without a full staff of controllers, delays are likely. Other facilities with short staffing include Nashville, Houston, Newark, and Las Vegas, and flights in the Boston area. I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Coming up in sports tonight, an NFL team is set to hold practices at Baltimore's MLB Stadium. Why the Los Angeles Rams need an assist from the Orioles. And coming up, new research on a lesser-known breast cancer, the signs and symptoms to watch for. We're back now with continuing coverage of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. An American Cancer Society report released today says an estimated 33,600 women will be diagnosed with lobular breast cancer this year. Despite the prevalence of this subtype of breast cancer, researchers say it remains understudied. And in tonight's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither talks to the report's senior author about the signs of this lesser-known disease and those symptoms that differ from other types of breast cancer.
It's a lesser-known breast cancer that develops in a patient's milk-producing glands, and cases of lobular breast cancer are on the rise in the U.S.
Most people aren't familiar with this subtype, and I think it's because the short-term prognosis is very good.
But Rebecca Siegel with the American Cancer Society says that there's a delayed detection of this type of breast cancer. Long-term prognosis for advanced disease is not good. She's the senior author of a report that found there's a critical need for more research into this specific disease.
We need to distinguish this cancer in clinical trials so that we can find more effective treatments, because incidence rates are actually increasing quite steeply, more steeply than for other types of breast cancer.
Because tumors and those with lobular breast cancer grow in a linear pattern or maybe spread out, Siegel says they don't form a lump like other breast cancers and can be harder to detect during a mammogram. So she says women need to watch out for other signs, including nipple inversion, hardening of the breast skin, or dimpling of that skin. If these symptoms are consistent over a week or two, she says go see a doctor.
Adjuvant chemotherapy doesn't really work. So we need to distinguish this cancer in clinical trials so that we can find more effective treatment.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Moving to sports, former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez is being blitzed with legal issues after being stabbed. The TV sports analyst now facing a felony charge for an incident over the weekend. Indianapolis authorities originally charged Sanchez with 3 misdemeanors, but he's now charged with felony battery involving serious bodily injury. According to the prosecutor, early Saturday morning, Sanchez and a 69-year-old truck driver got into a fight over a parking space, and Sanchez was repeatedly stabbed. He was taken to the hospital where he is reportedly in stable condition.
Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Across the bridge, Camden Yards has gone quiet since the O's season ended last month. In the meantime, Oriole Park is set to be used as a practice facility for an NFL team. Yeah, you heard that right. And no, it's not the one that resides in Baltimore. The Los Angeles Rams travel to play the Ravens Sunday, but afterwards the team won't head back to LA. That's because the following week, the Rams have an international game in London against the Jaguars. So as Los Angeles head coach Sean McVay put it, quote, "We'll go out to Baltimore Saturday, but then we'll stay out there in our preparation for Jacksonville." Jacksonville. Then we'll fly out to London Friday. That gives us a good opportunity to really lean in. We'll just stay out in Baltimore to shorten that trip before our bye. But what a big stretch this is going to be for us. The Baltimore boost includes a much quicker flight to London, which is 7 hours compared to the 10 it would have been if the Rams flew out of LA. If you happen to be a fan of Los Angeles out here on the Eastern Shore, I have bad news. These Rams practices at Camden Yards won't be open to the public. Fortunately for the Ravens, LA isn't taking over M&T Bank Stadium, although that was considered before concerns of maintaining the field's condition came into play. That'll do it for sports. Have a great night.
Now here's a live look into Ocean City. We'll have one more check on the forecast after the break.
All right, our dry tech camera, 72 degrees. We're looking for a small craft advisory to stay active for us along the coast, 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And then here comes the rain that's approaching us from the west already. Our umbrella giveaway winner, Michael Renner of Frankfurt. Congratulations. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, sponsored by the law offices of Brockstedt, Mendalis, and Federico. And here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Look for a rainy situation most of the morning and early afternoon for Wednesday.
Okay, thanks again, Paul, and thanks to you for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. You can find more news and weather on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.